Hello, my name is Alyson Stewart, and I'm a therapist at the Women's Initiative. And I proudly present this year's 2019-2020 Challenge to Change writing competition. Now, this is a competition that I hold dear to my heart because I just had my 3-year anniversary with the agency. And one of the first things that stood out to me was this initiative that we began. Challenge to Change, if you're a newbie and don't know what that is yet, it is the opportunity to tell the stories, whether personal or of a woman in your life who has taken a challenge and used it to evoke and create change. So, if I could for a moment give you a little backstory on this competition, let me let you in on kind of what this is and how it began and why it's important today. You ready? So, the annual Challenge to Change Writing Contest is a forum for women's stories of healing and growth. It began in 2008 as a celebration of the Women's Initiative's first year of providing vital mental health services to women, regardless of ability to pay. Since then, it has become a venue for veteran and emerging writers alike to showcase their talents, engage in creative exploration, and inspire others with their stories of women's resilience. Challenge into change. Challenge into change. Mm. As a narrative therapist, a lot of my work goes within creating a preferred story. There's a story that we tend to tell ourselves when something goes wrong, when something's out of our control, when something makes us anxious. And so I love looking at a problem filled story and seeing how we can take the preferred self and make just an experience where we get to reauthor and rewrite who we are. And so the things that have happened to us don't define us, but they're a part of a larger picture. And so I am very excited to share with you that a few of our authors have agreed to allow us to showcase their work, both visually through video and audio, in a way to not only get to read their stories, but actually get to hear from they themselves. And so without further ado, I would just like to introduce you to a few of our writers and tell you a little bit about them and kind of give you a preview of what to expect. And I hope that this can do something for you that could uplift you, can encourage, can empower, and can inspire. And maybe, just maybe, the next time we have this competition, you may find yourself right in this book, because this is a competition that's not based on winning. Yes, there are monetary prizes for a few of our writers. And at the same time, the gift in this book is that someone in whatever walk of life that they're in can pick this up and access an experience and say, I'm not alone. I'm not the only one. I can do this. I see myself. It's like their story was them saying my own story. And so that is the unique opportunity within this competition. And each year we have veteran writers, new writers, writers that have written each time, and just the opportunity to get to hold this sacred gem in my mind is such a neat opportunity. If you want to find out any information about how you can get a copy of your own book or find out more about this competition and getting involved, even with the Women's Initiative, go to the Women's Initiative website and go to services and challenge into change and find out more for yourself. Now, with that being said, as I flip the pages of this book, I would like to introduce you to an author whose name is Elle. And she wrote a piece called Elle's Realm. Now, let me give you a little preview into who Elle is. She graciously disclosed this information and wanted us to know that she has just moved to Charlottesville, and we are so glad you did. And about a year ago, she's 27 and extremely grateful for this life. Writing has always been an outlet for her to process as well as to inspire. Now, we had some judges who have some critically acclaimed reviews about her works. They say, wow, you truly take the reader with you through this incredible transformation. Beautifully written, excellent writing expressing transformation, a hero, a survivor. How you inspire many. The strength that this writer possesses in writing and sharing is awe inspiring. So, without further ado, I will invite you to listen to Elle. Now, for Elle, we have her voice and her audio. So, what I invite you to do is before playing, get into a comfortable position. Put your feet planted firmly on the floor. Have your back rest to the back of your seat. If you want to have a blanket or something hot to drink, and just relax in that position. And I know in a pandemic, it may be hard to access that space. And in these unprecedented times, we need these stories more now than ever. So whether it be in your car, maybe you're hunkered down, in your bedroom, in a private sacred space, if you can access one, if possible, and just allow yourself to lower your gaze or close your eyes and listen to the words that are about to be read. I give you Elle's Realm.
Hello, my name is Elle Figueroa, and this is my piece called Elle's Realm. Daughter of a schizophrenic, I don't want to believe it. Diagnosis of an eating disorder, I don't want to eat it. Drowned of a heroin addiction, I don't want to feel it. Dance with me, I can do it. I sat there in a room filled with the devil's perfume. Aroma of burnt spoons, lost dreams, and some other drugs too. Paranoia. Am I my father? Vomit, take me higher, skinnier, and lighter. Numb me like the gum on the floor. Shoot me up like the warm gun on the floor. I sat there as I watched him press the needle deep into my skin. I sat there and grew heavier in sin. I just sat and watched the days go by. Wake up, dope sick, get money to get a fix, repeat. Dirty rooms, homeless, couch hits, drug dens, and a hit list. Weigh in, check out, all my demons are getting fed now. I sat there with a choice to change, to find my voice. Sick and tired of living in hell, sick and tired of losing Elle. I wanted to dance with the flowers, to feel my own power. Desire a flicker of hope. I can do this. I can stop dope. I sat there sicker than sick, the sickest sick to ever be sick. Sneezing, shaking, and screaming for Satan, purging and pulsating and panicking panic. I sat there, cold sweats, can't take a breath, fighting a war within myself, battered up with no help. 0 rehabs, court orders, or interventions, just me and my demons. Elle's Realm. I sat there as the colors became alive, the smells, the taste, sensations, the 5. I can feel everything right now. My ears hear the drums of the earth. My body is craving this rebirth. I started falling in love with the way the wind blew, the way images filled my view. What a magical world, a place which I can feel safe. I sat there with 1 year clean, 1 year without a hit, a puff, a snuff, or a sip. Tears of joy, tears of pain, it's all a gain. Fragrance of coffee filled the room, joy and celebration for how I have bloomed. Anonymous we stand, hand in hand, serenity we seek, and God's grand plan. I sit here in a loving home, surrounded by family, support, and giving hands. Hot water, clean clothes, and a place to lay my head. Wake up, go to work, self-care, recovery, repeat. Yoga, therapy, meditation, laughs, hugs, and dedication. Hot tea, kisses, and comfy socks. Reading, learning, sometimes it feels like a lot. Meetings meet me. Dance, dear, you are not lonely. for I have done it and you can too.
Thank you, Elle. Thank you for your words. Thank you for your courage and your bravery to be willing to not only do this work, but to share it with us. And really just sitting with the words, tears of joy, tears of pain, it is all a gain. Joy and celebration for how I have bloomed. We appreciate you and we honor you and thank you so much for reading your words. Now, I would like to introduce you to Lisa. She wrote 3 Birds. Let me tell you a little something about Lisa. She grew up in Michigan, where she went to school to study English and theater. Now she's very happy to be living here in Charlottesville. We're so happy you're here too. With a furry roommate named Martha, my dear, and working at a job that she loves. Every day is filled with gratitude. And who can we use moments for gratitude right now? Our judges have spoken. They said, I love the triumph in this piece. Easy to read, so inspirational. Courage is looking fear right through and defeating it. You did it. It may be stormy at times, but it never rains forever. This is a beautifully written, heartfelt piece. It speaks to the unspoken that many of us struggle with on a daily basis and leads to a place of healing and love. Thank you, Lisa. I'm really excited for you to hear. And she kind of gave us a sneak preview in her bio about her gratitude with her job. But I won't spoil. I'm getting excited, y'all. I won't spoil. Without further ado, I give you 3 Birds. Thanks, Lisa.
Hello, my name is Lisa Reardon, and I will be reading from my piece, 3 Birds. A Buddhist master once showed his student a picture and asked, "What do you see?" The student replied, 3 birds. "No," said the master. "It is the sky with 3 birds passing through." I didn't get it. I served 4 years in a state penitentiary up north. When my parole period was up, I moved to Virginia to start a new life. This included therapy at the Women's Initiative. I believed that I deserved perpetual punishment for my crime. It didn't matter how often friends or family told me that I had paid my debt to society. I knew that I needed to live on the lowest rung of society's ladder. That meant the worst jobs, the smallest apartment, the tightest budget. After several years in serious need of money, I worked up the courage to apply for a better job. I was highly qualified. The interviewer and I seemed to have a great rapport. Then came the key question. Have you ever been convicted of a felony? I told him yes, and that was the end of the interview. I drove home crying, tears of shame and humiliation. Who did I think I was? I didn't deserve a better job. I didn't deserve anything good. All because of a terrible choice that I made years ago. By the time I got home, however, I was angry with the situation rather than myself. I wrote an email to the interviewer explaining the situation, the circumstances behind my crime, while still taking full responsibility for my actions. I assured him that I was no longer the same person, that I would not make the same choice. I felt stronger after mailing that email. The shame was gone. Something positive had shifted into place. It didn't matter whether I got the job or not. It was a victory because I stood up for myself for the first time since leaving prison. and I was hired. Had the email changed the interviewer's mind, or had I just imagined his initial reaction? I've never asked. It was my response to the interview that mattered. I no longer believed that I had to live the rest of my life in a prison of my own making. Although I had been telling myself this for months in therapy, it did not become true for me until I put those words into action. Now, when faced with obstacles, I no longer feel defeated and unworthy. I'm stronger than I thought. It's possible and it's okay for me to fight for what I want and win. And now, the Buddhist story of the master and the student makes sense. My world used to be nothing but problems, all of which I thought I deserved. Now I see the real picture of my life. A blue sky with occasional problems passing through. That is the end of my piece. But I would like to add, I am very well aware that had my skin been a different color, I would be in prison still. Thank you for listening.
Now, when faced with setbacks, I no longer feel defeated and unworthy. Now I see the real picture of my life, a blue sky with occasional problems passing through. And I love the last line that she said. It was something she added. It was something she didn't mention in her submission, but she added it to her video recording. It struck me and it stayed with me. And I really appreciate the vulnerability that went into this piece and just the realness within, the words that have been spoken. So thank you. Thank you. So we have a piece entitled The C Word by Barbara. If you wouldn't mind, I'd like to say a few words about Barbara that she gifted us with. She is a veteran yoga teacher. She's a budding photographer and a lifelong writer. She, after 2 marriages, a long stint as a single mother, and helplessly watching dementia steal her own mother, she found herself receiving a devastating cancer diagnosis. This was the catalyst that propelled her to start sharing her stories, and we are so glad she did. She lives in Charlottesville with her cat and operates Simply Yoga on the historic downtown mall. Our judges and readers have said, I love how the author was able to use so many descriptive images to take the reader to such a memorable and significant life experience. Beautiful expression of letting go and of faith. Blessed is the influence of one true loving human soul to another. This piece reminds us how very important it is to allow those close to us to be there for us. In good and in bad, if we are not open, then they cannot be open. Whew. And I have a sneaky suspicion, Barbara, that your openness is going to help someone else be open after they read this piece. I give you the C word.
The C word. You never forget the moment you're told you have cancer. The hard foam cushioned wooden bench beneath your thighs. The wadded up brown wool coat pressed against your back. The afternoon sun beaming through the window to your right, spotlighting the fresh stitches in your upper eyelid. The waiting room, crowded with anxious patients and concerned companions. The doctor's piercing eyes. Her jet black hair resting against the collar of a starched white coat. and then the phone call from pathology. Time stands still as the words that spill from your doctor's lips can never be unsaid. It's carcinoma. And in that split second, your life changes forever. I sat with my friend Stacy in a private window seat of the waiting room at the UVA eye clinic. Dr. Kirshner, the surgeon who had just completed my biopsy, stood beside me awaiting the call. As she delivered the news, I felt the ice pack against my right eye turning warm. My eyelid throbbed, my head buzzed. The busy waiting room started spinning around the figure of my doctor. "It's going to be okay," she said. "You can live with one eye." I didn't hear another word as my mind studied her last sentence. I was going to lose my eye. In the coming weeks, I had a CT scan, a PET scan with radioactive dye, and a second biopsy to rule out metastases. I met with an oncologist, a genetic counselor, a dermatologist, and a radiation oncologist at UVA. I sought a second opinion from Johns Hopkins. I was poked and prodded from head to toe, but nothing changed my diagnosis. So Dr. Kirshner scheduled an orbital exenteration to remove my right eyeball, both eyelids, and the entire contents of my eye socket. I would be left with a hole in my face. It was a lot to take in. But as the shock subsided, I began to see what cancer had to offer. I'm a self-employed yoga instructor, and while I was fortunate to have health insurance, sick leave was non-existent. So my friends set up a GoFundMe account to pay my bills for the 2 months I was out of work. Meals appeared on a daily basis. Fresh flowers came weekly, and cards came in droves, some containing checks. An artist friend created a half-dozen eye patches for my new face. People I had not seen in decades wrote to wish me well. For all the giving, caretaking, and mothering I had done in my 61 years, I felt uncomfortable accepting the same in return. Then a wise woman set me straight. "Your friends need the opportunity to express their love for you," she said. "Don't take that away from them." I got it. Cancer was asking me to let go, to keep my heart open, to have the courage to be vulnerable. I had to accept that I was losing my eye, but at the same time, I was gaining my vision. Thank you.
You know, when I'm thinking about this season of loss and change and letting go, and the last line of this piece, if I may be so inclined, I got it. Cancer was asking me to let go, to keep my heart open, to have the courage to be vulnerable. And this is where it gets me. This is where it gets me, y'all. I had to accept that I was losing my eye, but at the same time, I was gaining my vision. I mean, just wow. What insight, what wisdom. And I mean, enough said. Enough said. Thank you so much for allowing us to share these works with you. They were just too good to hold on to. Typically, these are works that would have been shared during the Festival of the Book, and we would have been able to gather together in celebration and honor our authors and hear from them in person and connect together. And we weren't going to miss an opportunity. Though we can't have our usual gatherings, we are still able to connect with you in this way. It would be a disservice to not find some way to honor and really showcase just really the brilliance, the resilience, and just the beauty of going through a challenge, choosing to utilize it in a way to create transformation, and then being so bold as to sharing that experience. And so, as I said previously, I'm hoping that these readings, the messages just that have been given to us can really help us with our own grounding and mindfulness and meditation in these times of the unknown, in uncertainty, when we're looking at these pieces and what was experienced and what was happening in the moment. I'm not sure one could fathom getting to the point of being able to not only write about it, but to submit it. And our hope and our wish for you is that there was a takeaway, that something was said, something was expressed, something was alluded to that you connected with and you resonated with, and that you can take and you could keep with you. And this is only a few of our stories. There are many more in this book. There are other books. There will be more competitions. And so this is something, writing is an outlet. Writing is healing. It brings things to our attention. It helps with our memory. It's self-care. It's rejuvenating. It's replenishing. It's something that we hope as a listener that you feel connected to read more sources of encouragement or develop and create your own. So we thank you so much for being attentive and just accepting our invitation to listen to this work. And so, just wanting to send so much gratitude to Elle, to Lisa, and to Barbara. Thank you. Thank you.